sometimes we still that's what goes me. Just build a fire. Walk some trails if they got them.
Travel far, like to go far.
Well, we had the Class A up in Canada. Keep sending me that. Said we can go to Canada. So we went down to south of St. Pete. Really nice campsite. Built on the peninsula. So we parked in there. We got water, so my son brought his boat and parked in there. And I'll think of the name of it here a little bit. But they have it so the growth on both sides, you can't see the person next to you. So it's like, Fort Soda.
Oh, Fort Soda.
That's a nice place. Of course, had the beach for well, at that time they were 6 and 7 young or little kids.
The Army can sit in the front. Army can sit in the front. Army? You seen Army? Oh. Yeah. Sitting in the chair there.
Those are more comfortable than me anyway.
You can see.
I had a fifth wheel like this and I went and bought that. Something like that size. Because I like to get out in the jungle, like, I like to get up into the mountains. Kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
That phone I have right now sleeps 9. So most of them. Several of them but intense.
Oh, well, we can
Another chair. One of those chairs is right there.
You want this one? Oh, if no one's using it, thank you.
Do one. Right out here.
For long, you'll be inside.
Thank you.
These two here take care.
Went out there to do US Arena last night. Man, that place is not like it's got like it's not a bad seating place. It's got a good jumbotron, so like everybody can see replays of the plays and stuff. Yeah. Well, and last night evidently the TV got every 5 minutes. It's time for a TV. Wow. You charge them inside.
A little bum.
How's Charlie's brother doing? I haven't talked to him.
That's right. They, okay. Come to find out, they had him on this week, they had him on the lot. He was real bad. But they kind of got him off of that, and he's doing better. But they found out he's got a bit of fluid on his brain. They're trying to figure out what to do there.
He's still in the hospital, not in rehab hospital.
No, he's in the rehab. But they had to take his deepness yesterday for an MRI or something. And he left his room and got back last night. Was Charlie and I were going south.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about solar, inverters, and all the fun stuff that comes with solar and batteries. Who here has a unit that has solar on it already? Okay. What's your unit? What unit do you have?
We got the Montana
Montana.
3121 oil.
So, do you know if you have an inverter on yours? You do? Okay, so with yours is pretty much set up to do whatever then?
Yeah.
Set up.
It's 1 2.
Okay. What kind of unit do you have?
Wolf pump.
It's a Wolf pump. So that's more like what I was looking at. So do you know if you have an inverter on your Wolf pump?
Whatever factory sent it.
So Wolf pumps do not have
Probably inverter ready.
Yeah, it's probably ready for an inverter, but does not have one. So what solar panels do is they can, on your unit specifically, what it does is it just keeps your battery charged. You can run some lights off your battery. You can run your heater off your battery. And you can run your water heater on gas off of your battery. Anything else, you're going to need an inverter, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Right, converts 12 volt power to 110 volt power. Typically, in the campers that you're talking about, your Montana and your Wolf Pup, those are going to be lower wattage inverters. 600 watts, Chad, is that correct? I believe that's correct.
600 watts, 600, yeah.
I believe that's right. 600 watts will power quite a bit of things in your camper. Most of the stuff that runs in your camper is going to be running on 12 volts anyhow. With the shift to LED lighting, the draw is super, super low. So we'll talk later a little bit about how different battery types will go longer without charges between them. Go ahead.
So there's a couple different things that you'll have if you've got a solar panel. One of them is a good tell for that is you'll have the panel on top, obviously, and then up in your front space, front storage space, you'll have an inverter. And what that inverter will do is, like you just said, it'll take your different panels. So this is a 100-watt panel that we sell here. Most of them.
It's a portable panel.
Portable panel, yeah. So this is like an extra that you can get to hook up. But what the inverter is going to do is it's going to take the power of the sun and it's going to turn it into usable power with your batteries.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, does anybody have any questions about anything on their specific units?
What about if you're in a shaded area and you're...
There's always going to be some sunlight. It may not be direct, but all it does is if this is a 100-watt panel, that means the maximum that it's capable of converting is 100 watts of charge power.
Like if you're, sorry.
Yeah, but in a shaded area, it might reduce it to 50 or 30.
Think about like the calculators we've had for like years and years that have the little solar on them. Like you can still sit in a room with the lights off and you'll still get enough to keep that little calculator running.
Yes.
But with these, it's a little bit different because on cloudy days, it really depends on what you're using it for. So if you don't have an inverter, you can't use your air condition. You can't use anything electric.
Unless you have a big enough inverter.
Right.
But to answer, I guess a better answer for your question maybe is, I have a friend who develops large solar fields for utilities, and they see current coming off of them overnight with full moon. So moonlight will convert a little bit, not much, but a little.
Run on on the cloudy days and.
Even on cloudy days, they're generating power, yes.
Maybe not a lot, but they still do charge.
Enough to run your camper.
So they're not going to really run anything in the camper. This is a good, really point in time to segue to the batteries. A battery is, everybody knows what a battery does. You put charge into it, you take charge out of it. What this will do, along with your converter or inverter, is actually put charge back into the battery. So you're drawing off these. These are just trying to put some back in less than what you're taking out. And everybody understands there's 4 different types of batteries, right? There's lead acid, which everybody knows what a lead acid battery is. You have to pop the tops off, check the water in them frequently. We've been using those for years and years and years. There has been some technological shifts, and they've developed this one in particular as an AGM, which is absorbed glass mat, sealed battery that typically maintenance free. You'll see those, they've been around for years. There's gel cell batteries, which are somewhat new. They've been around 25 or 30 years. And then, of course, everybody's probably heard about lithium-ion batteries. They've kind of gotten a little bit of a bad rap in the press. People talking about the little vape pens burning in your pockets and so forth. That's a lithium-ion battery. This is a different battery chemistry. Think more of like what's in Teslas or EVs or such and so forth. Lithium iron phosphate, very, very, very safe. They will go a very long time, and in that order: lead acid, AGM, gel, lithium ion. There's what's called state of charges, and if you're talking about a 12-volt battery, we'll just make it simple. I'm not talking about 6-volt systems, but a 12-volt battery will go. A lead acid battery has a rate of charge that is inversely proportional in a 90-degree angle. It starts and immediately discharges to about 10 volts, and it's done. But it does it like that in a matter of a very, very short period of time. And if you go to the other end of the spectrum, a lithium-ion battery will maintain voltage. It'll drop very slowly, and then it'll maintain voltage, and then really quickly taper off. I tell people I dry camp a lot. Does anybody do that much? I mean, some people do, some people don't. This is particularly helpful when you're dry camping. My wife and I have a motorhome, and we have 8 of these. I have 960 amp hours, and we went in a 300-hour period, no air conditioning because we didn't need it. It was nice. The generator ran 102 hours, and I was on battery for the rest of it. And I mean everything: hair dryers, water heater, everything, televisions. Our inverter, 2,000-watt inverter, but it was amazing how much time we spent on batteries versus actually burning fuel to maintain power. And we also have 600 watts of solar on the roof. So, which is the other thing we can talk about with solar is you can do permanent installations of these. There's 200-watt kits, 300-watt kits, and 600-watt kits. Some of the newer campers are coming pre-wired. So the wire is already in the wall, and you can really very easily, but we can do it for you, mount the panels on the roof. They stay there permanently. The more panels you make, the more power you're putting into your battery. How many people have come to pick up a camper or left their camper sitting for a little while, not plugged in, and they go to run the jack up and the battery's dead? Probably several of you. Solar panels will help with that. They will. All that battery needs is a very little bit to maintain its charge to stay up, and a 100-watt solar panel will keep a battery, any kind of battery, lead acid or any kind of battery, up for a very long time. One of the helpful things with it.
Anybody have any other questions about their specific units or anything like that?
Just a quick question about the permanent panels you put on your RV or whatever.
Yes.
How much maintenance does it require, and then what do you do about just speed and wind and storms, and how do you protect it, or how?
Yeah. The only protection that you really have to worry about is hail. They're pretty robust. The panels themselves they're encased in an aluminum enclosure, and they're pretty tough. As long as you don't have a tree fall on it or something like that. But going down the road, with our motorhome, we see absolutely no problems with them whatsoever. You try not to hit any tree branches, obviously, but you do that, you're going to have more problems than just a solar panel.
And as far as the batteries, the solar batteries, how long? What's the life expectancy of a solar battery?
That's a great question. So, starting in order, a lead acid battery, maybe depending upon the weather, you might get a good 3 or 4 years out of it. And then you go all the way to the other end of the spectrum. These are 10 to 12 year batteries. Now they're expensive, but the price is coming down every day on them.
I race radio control cars, or I have airsoft guns, and we used to use these batteries or the old ones, and now they all switched to these. And one of the good things about these kind of batteries is you can drain this thing to pretty much nothing, and forget about it, and then a month later charge it, and it'll be back up and good to go. So they're pretty much these lithium batteries are pretty much just sit them and forget them batteries nowadays. Like a couple of years ago, whenever they were first coming out, they weren't like that. But
no, the technology is getting better and better and better, and the EV market has really helped that because it's advancing it day by day. But what he's talking about is like a lead acid battery or an AGM or gel cells. Totally discharged state of charge is about 11 volts, and at 11 volts they just won't do anything anymore. A lithium ion battery will run along at 12.2 forever, and then slowly taper off, and its state of discharge is like 10.6. So it's still working hard at 11.5 volts, as hard as it would be at 13 volts. It's just, they're amazing how long they go.
So you said they were expensive? How expensive are they?
Well, bear in mind they're coming down. Which battery? I don't have my glasses on. Is this
this is a
100 amp power battery?
Yeah.
How much is the Dragonfly 100 amp battery now?
$500, that one for the AGM,
Okay. For the AGM, how about the lithium iron phosphate?
about $800.
Okay, so almost there. That's about 40% more, I guess.
they are worth the investment though, because you'll be spending $300 on regular batteries.
Sure. I mean, you're going to get more than double the lifespan out of it. Yes, ma'am.
Do you spend that per panel?
Oh,
So
no.
if we have 6 batteries on our rig now,
Okay. Do you have 3 12-volt batteries?
No, they're 6s, they're AGMs, and they're in a 12-volt.
Okay, so you have 2 6-volt batteries in parallel series connect 12 volts, and then those 3. So yes, you probably have, if your setup was like my setup, that I had 8. So I had 8 6-volt batteries. So you'll end up with the same amount of batteries, but they'll all be 12-volt batteries in parallel. And you'll have about, depending upon which ones you buy, you'll have about half of the amp hour capacity that you currently have, but because of the way that the battery technology works, it will last 2.5 times longer. And then of course you'll have double the lifespan of the batteries that you have now. You have lead acid now? AGMs? Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on things that they usually run or use whenever they don't have an inverter?
Okay, on my Montana, it's got 2 batteries, and how long will I run the refrigerator if I just unhook it and get taken down the road?
Do you know if you have a 12-volt refrigerator, or if you don't know? If it's a 12-volt refrigerator, I mean,
Residential.
it's a residential refrigerator.
Oh, residential? Yeah, so that's running off your inverter. And if you have a 2-battery system that's fully charged, that's going to run days. Mine runs days.
I thought it was kind of going to last about 4 hours.
Really? We need to check your batteries. It should last longer than 4 hours.
If you've got a 12-volt refrigerator, you can pretty much run indefinitely if you've got good sunlight. But like he said, that doesn't really matter that much anymore. So.
can you explain if let's say I'm parked and I've got my 50 amp hookup, am I going to just remain 50 amp hookup, or how does it work with coordination of the solar panels and batteries?
No, that's a great question. So as long as you're shored up and you have incoming AC power, that is what your system is going to default to at all times. So the power's coming in off the pole, it's going into the inverter, and then the inverter will convert that power instead of using your batteries to convert that power. That's just passing
Do you
through.
have to flip a switch or anything if you unplug from the 50 amp to go over to the solar side?
No ma'am, it will be completely automatic.
Anybody got any other questions?
How do you size up an inverter?
That's a really good question. So his question was, for people watching at home, is how do you size up an inverter? You probably need to look at basically what you're trying to accomplish when you're camping. For example, Vance had mentioned that they won't run an air conditioner. That's technically not right. They will if you have a big enough one or you stack them. But it's all about what you want to do. So if you're going to dry camp for a week, you probably need, and not run air, you probably need 600 watts minimum. 1,000 would be better, but that will run many different things in your camper, or literally everything except the air conditioner. Now you're going to be running most of your stuff on 12 volts, but the things that you want to run on 110, if you wanted to run your refrigerator on 110, you could. You can watch television, you can charge your phone, you can use your computer, you can use a hairdryer, all of those things.
But if you don't have an inverter, basically you can run all your lights. You can run your heaters on propane, not on electric. You can run your fridge on propane if it's a propane fridge. But besides that, if you don't have an inverter and you just have a panel to just keep your batteries charged, you can't really run anything.
Everybody's familiar with old-time incandescent light bulbs, right? They all have a wattage, 60, 100, so forth. So wattage is a measure of power, how much you're using. And that's where the inverters come in. They're doing the same thing. They're telling you how much you can getting maximum, but they'll operate below that maximum, for a while. Thought I saw a hand. No.
You're good. So we do have a few things on the table here. This is a inverter that we sell here. It is a 2,000 watt inverter.
That particular one is the upgrade for the Keystones.
Okay, so this is the upgrade for all the Keystones, and it is a 2,000 watt inverter. Runs.
Is there a price on this? The pricing that would be on that is not the current pricing anyway. We've got them set up on sale prices for the people to buy it.
Gotcha. So this is an option if you've got a Keystone to upgrade. Get one of these, grab you a couple extra solar panels. Do we do installations on solar panels?
Absolutely.
We do.
We got all the pricing set up in the back. If you're interested, just come find me when we're over. We can talk about it. I just didn't bring the paperwork up here because I didn't think we'd want to talk about it on the streaming. But basically, those three items up there, plus a solar panel, if you already have a Springdale or Cougar or Montana, well, Montana's going to have it, but a unit that's prepped, all you'll have to add are those three items and you're good to go. Now, that's going to be using your same battery if you have a lead acid battery. One thing I wanted to throw out there is everybody uses cordless drills, tools. Well, today's technology, that thing will run wide open until it stops. And that's the biggest difference between a lithium ion and a standard wet battery. You'll get reduced performance out of a normal battery, and then it will stop. The lithium ion, you're powering through until it stops. So you're getting a lot more full power till the very end on that battery, and that's one of the biggest advantages of the two. You'll have full power until it stops.
Excellent. For the do-it-yourselfers, the installations it's not difficult. It's just a little time-consuming. The most difficult portion of it, and you said you're talking about the Springdales and so forth being pre-ready.
Yeah.
All the Keystone product is. They run the wire from the top to your battery compartment. That would be the most difficult part of it. The rest of it is simply mounting and sealing and hooking a few wires up.
Like I said, we've got some solar panels that we can sell to you that are separate. These will go on the ground. Some units are prepped for specific solar panels that you'd have to get from the manufacturer. There'll be like a little plug on the side. That'll be like a solar booster or something, say something like that, ready. I'm sure we can get those too if you just give us
This right
the
here,
name,
this
yeah.
100 watt panel here can be added whether the unit's prepped or not. It's going to go straight to your battery. It does have its own controller. So you're going to get quite a bit over nothing with just that panel right there.
This is what comes with that solar panel. So, any other questions, comments, anything like that?
We're going to hang around for as long as you want. If you want to engage us or have questions you want to talk off camera, we're more than glad to do that, answer questions or whatnot. Yes, ma'am.
I may have missed this in the beginning. I'm sorry for late. Do you install them on the rig or not?
Absolutely. Yes, we do installs there.
All right. Well, we've got hot chocolate and coffee over there, and donuts. If you guys haven't gotten it yet, feel free to ask us any questions. Matt will be in the back.
I do have
We'll
one more
be hanging
thing
out,
to
yeah.
add. If the unit's prepped and you do the upgrade, there's specific outlets throughout the camper that will be active. Not everything will be. So the wiring is going to certain outlets, and they'll have an identifier like a lightning bolt or something on those outlets that will be active once you install the kit.
Yeah, they typically put those in places that make sense,
Yeah,
you know,
like
in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, a couple in the living room.
Yep. So there'll be certain outlets that'll be set up, and like he said, it's going to be near things. Your refrigerator's going to automatically have one. But a lot of times there's one by your recliners or your seating. There'll be one there. But yeah, there's limited, but there's several. But not every outlet will be active for the inverter. Thank you.
All righty.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Is there any generator and solar coordination, or is it one or the other?
Oh no, there's coordination and correlation between the two. So if you know your earlier question you asked about being shored up, generators the same thing. I'm guessing you have a motorhome.
40 foot.
Okay, so your motorhome has inside of its electrical control system, 110 volt system, what's called an automatic transfer switch. And when you're on generator, this switch is looking constantly for power. So it says, oh, I'm on generator. I'll flip this section of relays and now I'm running on generator. So when you plug into power, it moves directly over to that. So all that's doing is picking the difference between your AC power source, being basically what's coming from the pole or coming from your generator. But yes, the solar controller systems in your inverter, they don't care where the 110 volt power comes from. They'll work the same either way.
So I'm giving you an example. You're parked at the Indy 500 and you're on solar. Do you require to run the generator if you want to run your microwave?
No. We have a motorhome as well, my wife and I do, and ours is set up. Yours may also have this, where your generator will automatically start when the batteries need to be charged. Don't have that? Okay. Ours will do that. So we just set ours, we know what the voltage is that it needs to start at, and the systems take care of everything else. So if you're at the Indy 500 and you want to run your microwave and your generator's not on, you simply run the microwave. As long as your batteries are above a certain level, and if you have with AGMs is what you said you had, right? Yeah, with an AGM, if you're above 11.5 volts, it'll run. You can probably watch on your little panel. It shows you what the amp draw is coming out of the batteries, and you'll see it run up and then drop down when the microwave's done. But yeah, it's no problem at all. But meanwhile, if it's sunny outside, really sunny outside, these panels on your roof are putting power back into your batteries, charging your batteries all the time.
And that's another good point to make about that is, if you've got one battery, it'll run your microwave if you've got an inverter, but it may only run it for like 10 seconds.
Right.
So that's why you want to have extra batteries and stuff like that.
That's correct. That's correct. This device here is called a shunt. And that is something that is it actually goes on the ground side. And it's sitting there measuring current in and out of the battery all the time. That's part of a system that can be added with lithium ion or any kind of battery for that matter. And we have that on our motorhome. It's part of the solar system. We can see at any given time how much power we're drawing out of the batteries and how much power we're putting back into the batteries. And it tells us what the state of charge of the battery is all the time. We know that.
That's about all I got.
Me too. Thank y'all for